Good job, guys. Yeah, excellent job.
Thank you very much.
Good job, okay. Thank you. Yeah, take care. Yeah. All right, this was indeed a fantastic panel, right? When you think about opportunities for collaborations across multiple industries and the value that is being created and how you have the mobile technology industry, the electronic industry, and also the car racing industry coming together to foster business innovation. So now the next speaker will be Sue Siegel. As I mentioned, she's the CEO of GE Ventures and the Chief Innovation Officer for General Electric. Please join me in welcoming Sue on stage right after the short video.
It doesn't matter to him that we power a third of the planet. She doesn't care that a plane powered by our technology takes off every 2 seconds. And she isn't impressed that we span 3 centuries of invention. Because what matters to them is that her grandson is starring in a school play. Her daughter will be coming home tomorrow. It's getting dark, and he has homework to do.
Buenas tardes. Y adios. No, I'm just kidding. I'm really delighted to be here, and I really want to thank the organizers of the GSMA of this conference, which is just a spectacular event, and I'm so thrilled to actually be participating. I want to tell you a little bit about the industrial company of the future and talk a little bit about the 4th Industrial Revolution. Now, I don't have cars, but I do have a lot of other gizmos that hopefully I'll be able to share with you. Now, when you think about the 4th Industrial Revolution, it's no doubt underpinned by the digitization of this world. And in addition to that, it's the marriage of the digital industries and the world of the industrial world that actually is going to propel it. And we're going to tell you a little bit about how we're embracing those exponential technologies. And then last but not the least, I want to talk a little bit more about the business model, so much of what you've already heard in both the introductions and actually this last panel. But let me just say that the digital revolution is affecting every single industry. Nobody is escaping what is happening. And when you think about the types of advances that have actually happened because of digitization, it's quite remarkable. As we think about this, and as we embrace these, companies of the future have to get very, very comfortable. There have been 3 major trends that most of you know are all about accessing for your customers to access different ways your solutions. And they go like this. The first one is the notion of going from centralized to distributed. So it used to be you went to a hospital, you got care. Now you can do it in retail centers and in the home. Same thing with utilities. It used to be that you got all of your electricity generated from a utility, centralized. And what's happening now? Solar panels and other types of energy generation are being distributed to either the home, to your enterprise, etc. The second model is all around CapEx to OpEx. So what does that mean? You've experienced it all the time. In fact, instead of having to buy the entire asset, what you're doing is buying a unit of that asset. So how are you doing that? Uber, Didi Chuching, for example, where you're buying the ride versus buying the car. And then last but not the least, it's all about the notion of having static and dumb devices to connected and smart devices. Everything's connected. It's data everywhere. And in fact, we've got to analyze it. So when you think about this, how do you really move and start to create value from all of this overall? So times are truly changing. When you look at this, not only is a digital revolution changing what's happening around us, and it's doing it, like Mohammed said at the beginning, all at the same time in so many different industries across the board. What you're also having happen is our industries are converging. The demarcation of industries is in fact becoming blurrier and blurrier. As you think about it, even in the telecom industry for a second, the media and entertainment industries, those have merged a bit more. And then you start to think about the world of the tech world and the financial world. And in the innovation world associated to the industrials, we have been merging more and more, for example, oil and gas, energy, and the automotive world. Think about the value chains that actually exist amongst those and what ends up happening. What part of the value chain do you own as these industries start to blur more and more? Business models are key to everything. You heard it with the Formula One cars. You heard it with regards to how we have to think about new ways to provide solutions to customers. And it's really important for us to get comfortable that these business models are going to be able to do so much more in terms of allowing access for our customers to new ways to experience our products, but also allowing us to create new value by going into new markets. Now, when you think about all of this and the pace of change going as fast as it's going, none of us can do this alone. We must partner. And all of a sudden, we're also entering into new ecosystems across the board. So you're finding these partnerships in non-traditional ways across non-traditional ecosystems. Important to really keep in touch. So as you think about this, how do you, in this world where it's hyper-connected, you're data drowning, and frankly, the world of AI has to analyze all of this in warp speed, really thinking about how fast this is coming at you, knowing that the pace of change will actually never be as slow as it is today. Think about that. The pace of change will never be as slow as it is today. We at GE are embracing all of this. We're taking in all of this convergence very, very quickly. And we are reinventing ourselves. You know, GE was started 126 years ago. And as that, think about Thomas Edison. He was our founder, 1892. And he helped bring in, believe it or not, the second industrial revolution. And here we are starting the fourth. During that time, DNA has been embedded, the DNA of innovation has been embedded within GE. And we brought a lot of firsts to the marketplace. The light bulb, the jet engine for commercial and military uses, the first magnetic scan of a brain. We're going to keep innovating like that. But one of the things that we have to remember is we have to embrace this and really bring it together, not just with technology. We're going to do it with innovation around business models, and we're going to do it with a type of different class of workforce, too, which I'll talk about in a second. So as you think about this, here are the things that GE has been doing all the time now. We're bringing in all the technologies I've already heard about, AI, the IoT, the world of sensors, the world of autonomy, the world of blockchain, all of those things, bringing them together very, very quickly. We're merging them with business models. We're bringing together the world of a new workforce. We're not only using our own type of workforce, but we're bringing talent from the gig economy, which more and more is going to exist, and knowing when to apply them with the talents that you bring, external and internal, to the problem at the right time in a mission-based team. We're dealing with the future of work at the same time. Now, what's important when you think about GE and the first, we've also been industrializing the world of 3D printing. A lot of people don't actually know that, but GE's been working on this since the 1960s, and you're going to see us really take a leadership position, particularly in industrial 3D printing. The other part is industrializing cell therapy, which arguably, when you think about this, is about the future of personalized medicine extraordinaire. Really taking your own cells, re-architecting them, putting them back into your own body to cure cancer, not just to treat cancer. So GE has really taken a real lead position in a number of these areas. You'll see us continue to embrace this. But I think the company of the future is one that's not only delivering economic value, but it's delivering social value, and it's also delivering environmental value. This is the new GE. So So when you think about industrializing innovation, I suspect you think, well, wait a minute, that's an oxymoron. But I'm here to tell you it's actually not. You know, it used to be innovation was all around invention. And the other part of it is, it used to be that innovation was only the purview of startups. And in fact, big companies were quite terrified about the startups because it was eating at their core. It's been disruptive. So when you think about this now, what's happened and what's changed is recently we did this, we call it our GE Innovation Barometer. It's a survey that's taken across 2,000 executives in 20 different countries, and it's done in all different size companies, et cetera. And most recently, we just had released the stats associated to it is that, in fact, a lot of those executives are not as fearful about this disruptive innovation anymore. They're getting more and more comfortable. They're being able to figure out how to actually use it. And a lot of them report, over 40% of them report, that they're seeing impact on their bottom line. Now, this is good news, but we cannot get complacent as industrial companies. We have to, in fact, embrace this and really take it and drive the discipline of industrializing innovation. So what is it? It's taking technologies, it's taking business models, it's taking the talents that I've talked about, bringing them together and creating new solutions that ultimately, in a disciplined process, in a disciplined methodology, and with new metrics, is part of a new corporate muscle that corporations absolutely have to develop. So that is what industrializing innovation is all about. Now let me tell you, when you think about this, some examples that GE is taking underway, and hopefully this gives you an idea for some of the companies that you're involved in. Driving productivity. So it's been talked about that productivity has not been unleashed like it should be in the kind of magnitude that we'd like. And in the past 10 years, in fact, we've only had about a 0.5% productivity growth. Very different than the decade before. The decade before was, in fact, 6 times faster productivity gains than what we're experiencing now. A lot of times, driving productivity is not just a company yourself doing things. So I was a Silicon Valley-based VC before I came, venture capitalist, before I came into GE. And I was asked to start the innovation practice as it related to venture capital disciplines at GE. And I've been doing that for about the last 4 years. The GE Ventures team and I, over the last 4 years, have invested in about 100 startups. We've had a number of exits, and so we're doing quite well. But those startups we work with to help them grow and scale, and in turn, they bring us our solutions to help us not only learn, but frankly, bring solutions that we can utilize not only within GE, but with our customers. One of the examples of this that we actually utilize is a company called Upskill. This is a company that makes essentially software for augmented reality glasses. And again, because you can see line of sight, and you can see what you're doing right there on the spot, you can bring in training manuals, you can bring in your colleagues to collaborate with you real time to solve a problem right there on the spot. When we used it on our factory floors, we had 46% efficiency gains and a reduction of errors, pretty remarkably, in the first time. Now, I tried them on. They're extraordinarily intuitive. But this is the kind of augmented technology-enabled worker that you're going to have both on the factory floor and in the field. In addition to that, when you think about the world of industries, GE, we're in a number of different industries. We're in the aviation industry, we're in the healthcare industry, we're in the energy industry. So we get to see so many of these. The intersection of industries gives us a vantage point of where, in fact, you have real trends, pervasive trends happening. One of these examples is in the energy, in the oil and gas, and in the world of transportation. You have something that is a problem, and that is the degradation of assets for these industries. And they have inspections that they must conduct on their assets. And so what we've been able to do is we created a startup. This is within GE, from scratch, bringing together all of these technologies that you're seeing that essentially solve the problem. When you think about the oil and gas industry, they spend $500 million a year to $1 billion a year on inspections. So taking these technologies, creating a new model of inspections as a service, and offering up this type of technology to our oil and gas industry has been great. You see the stats right here. We'd reduced recently inspection time 10 times faster. We did it with 0 reduction of time and 0 defects. This was for real. This happened within a 14-month time frame from start of when we created the company to the time we delivered the solution, and we've got a tremendous pipeline going forward. So when you think about the pace of change, and you think about needing to incorporate the type of technologies to create new business models, to create new solutions for your customers, remarkable. This is but one of the actual startups that we created in GE. We're going to do more of this. And this notion of industrializing innovation, creating the discipline of starting companies within a company that's 126 years old, doing it with speed and alacrity, is something that we must do more of. We've done 7 of them so far in the last 2.5 years. You're going to see us do more of these. Now let me tell you a little bit more about reimagining solutions. So one of the things is a lot of us have technologies that are sitting on our shelves. We don't know quite what to do with them. We have a lot of intellectual property. So one of the things that we've decided to do is to take those and start to figure out if we can repackage them. Force ourselves to look outside our own markets and determine how we can innovate solutions into new markets. And we've done a tremendous amount of this. Now, one of the ways we've done this most recently is by taking technologies that we invented in different parts of our company and actually started to apply it in a different way with a different model in the world of providing distributed energy to the world. We've done this by taking a combination of solar, diesel, and storage, put it together in a box, and essentially allowed for this to be a solution to remote villages. And we've done this in a partnership in India and now in Ethiopia. When you think about this and what you guys have on your own shelves, is there a way to actually bring these together and start to unleash the type of productivity that can be unleashed, but also drive solutions that brings the standard of life up across the world? Something that we're certainly committed to with regards to the Sustainable Development Goals. So that gives you a little bit of a sense of some of the things we're doing at GE. Let me start to close in the following way, which is when you think about how do you come into the picture, particularly the operators, we need you to start bringing to the equation the kind of solutions that need to get unlocked in the industrial space. You've done tons in the consumer space, fantastic solutions. We have tap and swipe kind of ease in the consumer space. We want to bring that into the industrial space. Why shouldn't we? Now, one of the things that you saw in both with McLaren, what I showed you with Avitas, where you're going to have autonomous cars, or you're going to have robots and other unmanned vehicles, we need the industrial infrastructure to actually be interoperable, reliable, and standard. No surprises to you. Not to mention the fact that as we think about how this comes together with connected infrastructure, we're going to be able to unleash a tremendous amount of productivity. Now, again, somebody said earlier, you can't come on stage and not talk about 5G, so I've got to get my 5G plug in. So when you come out with that, to say the least, and we've heard that it's going to represent something like $3.5 trillion worth of value unlocked and 22 million new jobs, we think when you think about the industrial world and the opportunities that it can afford you in partnership, because we must do this together, you start to think of the value that we can create here, and we're very excited about it, but we need you to be part of this solution. I fundamentally believe that when we think about doing this in a way that is all about an unlocking value, we do it together, and we do it by creating outcomes that absolutely matter. With that, thank you very much.